All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and this time we're looking at something a little different.
Oh,
Yeah, we've got a script for a beginner English podcast episode.
interesting.
Yeah, it is, and what they're trying to do is take someone from, like, zero English, like, not knowing anything,
Wow.
to being able to hold a basic conversation
All in one episode.
all in one episode.
That's just wild.
That's ambitious.
It is. It is. It is. So let's see how they try to pull it off.
All right.
Okay, so right off the bat, they jump into the English alphabet,
Okay.
which, makes sense, right?
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and then they move right into pronunciation tips.
Smart.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like laying a good foundation for the beginning.
Definitely. And it's interesting that they choose to focus on specific pairs, like B and P or M and N.
Oh, yeah, why those?
Well, they can be tricky, depending on the learner's native language.
Mhm.
Like, for example, if someone's first language doesn't have aspirated sounds.
Aspirated sound. Yeah, like the puff of air when you say P.
Okay.
They might have trouble differentiating between P and B in English.
Huh. So it's like really tailored to.
It makes you wonder, if a more personalized approach might be better in the long run.
That's a good point. But I guess for a general podcast episode, they have to
Yeah, keep it broad.
keep it general, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So then after the pronunciation, they move on to numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah, first they go 1 through 10 and then 11 through 20.
Okay.
And they gradually speed up the repetition as the listener goes through it.
So almost like a
Like an app.
language learning app.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Introduce the material, drill it in, and then speed it up.
But do you think that's really the best for solidifying those numbers?
I don't know. Maybe focusing on accurate pronunciation at a slower pace would be better for long-term retention.
Something to consider.
Okay, so after the numbers,
Where do they go?
greetings and self-introductions.
Okay. That seems pretty practical.
Right. I mean, everyone needs to know how to say hello and my name is.
For sure.
But I wonder, is it really enough just to teach the words themselves, or is there a cultural element too?
Oh, absolutely. Even a simple greeting can have different levels of formality depending on the context.
Right. Yeah.
So do you think the script addresses that, or is it oversimplified?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Hmm.
I mean, it's easy to assume that those basic phrases are straightforward, but there's always more to it than meets the eye.
Right.
Okay. Then they have a section on just common words.
Like what kind of words?
Yes, no, please, thank you, even help.
Okay.
All those essential vocabulary words.
Yeah, those are like the basics.
Yeah, like the linguistic lifelines, especially for someone who's just starting out.
Totally. Can you imagine not even being able to say thank you or ask for help?
Oh, man, that would be rough.
Just mastering those few words can make someone feel so much more confident.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what's next?
Okay, so then they have this challenge. Yeah, where the listener has to translate simple words from their native language into English.
Well, that's kind of fun.
It's interactive, but is it too soon?
Yeah, I mean, have they really learned enough at this point to translate?
Even simple words.
Yeah, or will it just frustrate them?
Maybe it would be better later on as a confidence booster.
Could be.
I don't know. But it seems like they're trying to fit a lot into this episode.
They are. It's like they're trying to make the ultimate cheat sheet for English.
Yeah. But is that even possible?
I mean, can you really shortcut language acquisition like that?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. Some theories say immersion is key. Some say structured learning is better. And this podcast seems to be going for that structured approach.
Yeah, but we don't know how effective it really is.
Not without testing it out on learners.
Right, we're just looking at the approach itself.
Exactly.
It's like they're trying to cram a whole textbook into one little podcast episode.
Right. It makes you wonder about the psychology of it all. Are they just trying to give the learner this boost of confidence?
Oh, yeah, like a quick sense of accomplishment.
Exactly, because motivation is huge in language learning.
It is. If you feel like you're making progress, even if it's just a few phrases, it keeps you going.
For sure. In this episode, with all the quick wins and the positive tone, it seems like it's really tapping into that.
Yeah, it does. It's like that feeling you get when you first start learning a new language and you finally understand something.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember when you first started learning host speaker's second language?
Oh, man. Yeah, those first few aha moments were amazing.
It's like you cracked the code.
Exactly. And that's what this episode seems to be aiming for with the basic vocabulary and pronunciation.
Trying to give the learner that early sense of achievement.
Right. But what if they took it a step further?
How so?
Like, what if they personalized it even more?
Personalized.
Yeah, like tailoring the content to the learner's native language.
Oh, interesting.
So you could highlight specific pronunciation challenges or grammar points that they might struggle with.
Like a custom-made language lesson.
Yeah, disguised as a podcast episode.
No, that would be cool.
It would. But even without that, I think this episode has a lot of potential.
I agree. It's definitely engaging, and it gets right to the core of language learning.
And it's accessible. I mean, anyone can listen to a podcast.
True, true. It's like a little experiment in fast-paced language learning.
Maybe we're witnessing the birth of a whole new genre.
Micro-language learning.
I like it. But, okay, let's talk about the tone of this episode.
The tone.
Yeah, it's very encouraging and positive.
Oh, yeah. Almost like a cheerleader for language learners.
Right. Especially for beginners who might be feeling intimidated.
Totally. A supportive tone can make a world of difference.
It's like having a language coach saying, you can do this.
I think that's a key takeaway here, this focus on the learner's emotions and motivation.
Yeah, it's not just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
It's about building confidence and connecting with the world.
And this episode gets that it understands the human side of language learning.
It does, and it makes you wonder, could this approach be used in other fields, too?
Oh, like what?
What if you had a math tutorial that not only taught you the concepts, but also made you love problem solving?
Wow, that would be amazing.
It would, right? So maybe this podcast episode is pointing to something bigger.
Like a whole new way of thinking about learning.
Maybe it is, and that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
Yeah.
We started with this simple podcast episode, and now we're talking about the future of learning.
It's pretty wild. Yeah,
Mhm.
it really shows you that you don't need a lot of fancy stuff to create a really good learning experience.
Right. It's all about access,
Yeah,
Like this podcast episode is giving anyone with an internet connection a chance to start learning English for free.
and that's huge, especially when you think about how important English is in the world today.
It is. It's like opening up a whole new world of possibilities.
So to all our listeners out there who are starting their own English learning journey, yeah, we hope this deep dive has given you some good ideas.
Whether you go for a structured approach like we've been talking about or something more immersive,
The most important thing is to be consistent and stay positive.
and don't be afraid to try different things,
Yeah, what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. The great thing about language learning is that there are so many ways to do it.
So find what you enjoy and make it fun.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Embrace the challenge. Enjoy those small victories. And never forget how amazing it is to connect with another language and culture.
It's a journey worth taking.
It really is.
And as you go on that journey, we want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay.
What other skills or areas of knowledge could benefit from this kind of approach?
Mhm.
The short, engaging, and emotionally intelligent way of learning.
Like, how could we make learning math or history or anything more accessible and fun for everyone?
The possibilities are endless, really.
They really are. That's what's so exciting about all of this. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
I think so, too.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. And who knows what new discoveries await us in our next deep dive.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those brains buzzing.
And we'll catch you next time.